the AU anthem. Thank you very much. We can be seated. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, again, good morning and welcome to the Northwest Provincial Archives. Today, the date is the 9th of June 2026. It's a day which we recognize as the International Archives Day. And as part of this, we are going to be, there's a secret something behind these flags. Okay, you can see the banners here. There's an exhibition that has been mounted, which is a culmination of the work which the National Department of Sport, Arts and Culture, the National Archives and Record Services of South Africa, the University of Pretoria, the German Embassy in South Africa, partnered. And as part of that, the work that they've been doing in terms of research on the Berlin Missionary School, Berlin Missionary work that was happening in South Africa. So this exhibition is actually a culmination of that. So we are happy that the Northwest Provincial Archives has actually given us this opportunity to mount this exhibition. And it is actually also a continuation of the work that we did from the 8th to the 15th of May, when we were here for in this province for the annual National Archives Awareness Week. So it is part of that. So we are still continuing with that celebration. I see familiar faces here, which I'm going to acknowledge as the program continues. I don't know if our performers are ready for them to take the podium and just kick off the program for us. I don't know, Maite, can someone indicate if the performers are ready, if they can take the podium or the stage? If they are not, then can Ms. Nchupetsang be on standby in case our performers are not ready? Then you can do reflections. It doesn't look like our performers are ready. So, Mr. Nchupetsang, maybe you must please take the podium and then do the reflections for us. Thank you very much. Okay, shall we give a hand of applause just to welcome on the podium? Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Lesego Ntšhupetsang from the Department of Arts, Culture, Sports and Recreation and Special Programs Unit in the Northwest Province. My work today is not much, just to give a brief reflection, and my reflection, it will be on the gender-based violence and femicide. So, Program Director, representatives from the National Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, officials from the Department of Arts, Culture, Sports and Recreation in the Northwest Province, colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today, as we commemorate International Archives Day, celebrated on the 9th June until the 30th June 2026, we acknowledge the important partnership between the National Department of Sports, Arts and Culture and the Department of Arts, Culture, Sports and Recreation in promoting the preservation of our documentary heritage. Archives and records are the custodians of our collective memory. They preserve the history of our nation, document government programs, ensure that the future generation understand where we come from and how we have evolved as a society. Through archives, we preserve the voices, experience, and contributions of all people, including those whose stories may otherwise be forgotten. As we reflect on the significance of archives, we must also connect this important work to fight against gender-based violence and femicide. Archives provide a permanent record of society response to gender-based violence and femicide. They preserve policies, legislations, awareness campaigns, research findings, and stories that highlight the impact of violence on women, children, and persons with disability, including the LGBTQI community plus. By documenting these realities, archives become a tool for education, accountability, and social justice. They help us understand the extent of the program, measure progress made, and ensure that the experience of survivors are not erased from the history. Preserving these records strengthens our commitment to building a society founded on dignity, equality, and human rights. As we celebrate International Archives Day, let us recognize that every record preserved today contributes to a better informed tomorrow. Let us continue to use archives as a platform to promote awareness, preserve truth, and support the ongoing efforts to eradicate gender-based violence in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ntšhupetsang. Yes, thank you very much for the reflections. Mema Simpe, before I call the performers, can you please take the podium and then give us the purpose of the day, why we are here? Thank you. Shall we welcome Masimpe? They call her mother. Here in the Northwest, they call her mother. Shall we welcome Masimpe? She's the provincial archivist.
Thank you, Program Director. And Dumedise, my seniors here in Tatemabi, and our guests that are going to be sharing
information and knowledge with us today. Could we miss our colleagues from the National Archives, Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, and those that have joined us from our department, our senior managers that are here with us. And yeah, all to you who have honored us to celebrate this day. It is indeed a privilege to stand before you today as we commemorate International Archives Day, a significant occasion that reminds us of the valuable role of archives plays in preserving our collective memory, protecting our rights, and shaping our understanding of the past. International Archives Day, observed annually on the 9th of June to celebrate the work of archivists and archival institutions across the world. It is a day that highlights the importance of preserving documentary heritage, ensuring that records remain accessible to present and future generations. Archives are more than a collection of old documents. That is, most of the time, when you ask somebody to draw a picture about archives, they will give you sort of old, dirty documents. And this is what represent archives. They are evidence of our history, our governance, our struggles, our achievements, and our identity as people. This year's commemoration provides us with an opportunity to reflect on the power of archives in promoting accountability, transparency, and social justice, and inclusive memory. Archives enable us to hear voices that may otherwise be forgotten and help us to understand the diverse experiences that have shaped our nation. As we celebrate International Archives Day, we are honored to host, we are honored as the Department of Arts, Culture, Sports and Recreation in the Northwest Province to host the German Mission Mzansi exhibition. This exhibition serves as a powerful example of how archives can bring history to life. Through photographs, documents, stories, and historic records, the exhibition explores the interactions between German missionaries and South African communities, offering valuable insight into culture exchange, education, language development, religion, and social transformation over many decades. The exhibition encourages us to engage critically with shared history, recognizing both its complexity and contribution to the development of our society. It demonstrates how archival records can bridge the gap between the past and the present, allowing us to better understand our heritage and diverse narratives that form part of South Africa's historical landscape. For us as archivists and heritage practitioners, the German Missionary Mzansi exhibition also reinforces the importance of preserving records from all communities and institutions. It reminds us that every document, photograph, oral testimony, and historical record has the potential to contribute to a richer and more inclusive understanding of our past. As we gather today, let us reaffirm our commitment to preserving documentary heritage, promoting access to information, and ensuring that future generations inherit a complete and comprehensive record of our history. At this point in time, we are also talking to our records managers, especially those who have joined us today, but we are sending that message that their work is very important. Let us continue to support archives as a center of learning, research, memory, and community engagement. I encourage all attendees to explore the exhibition, engage with stories it presents, and reflect on the importance of the role archives play in connecting us to our past while informing our future. On behalf of the organizers, I thank you for joining us in celebrating the International Archives Day and supporting the ongoing work of preserving South Africa's documentary heritage. on the program that we have with you, you will note that we have at least 2 speakers. We are going to be getting knowledge, we are going to be getting information from Dr. Kesselman. We have in the program also Prof. Liz Krell. She is going to be our keynote speaker for today. And in so doing, I believe that after this session, before we go through the exhibition itself, we will be enriched and more informed. And our archives are going to be known by more than the group that is here, because we want to take an opportunity that you also invite those who are at home. The schools are going to be closing. Your colleagues, your families, friends, please invite them. This exhibition is going to be with us until the end of June. It's such an opportunity and a privilege for the Northwest Province. Please invite everybody to join us to come and view the exhibition. It's not just about viewing, it's most importantly, it's about learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Masimpe. Thank you very much. Masimpe has reminded us that by just being here, today is a reaffirmation of our commitment to preserving our records, our archival records, and making them accessible, and to also celebrate the work that is performed by archivists in our repositories and archivists all over the world. So now, before I acknowledge, I don't know if our performers, are they ready now? Are they ready to take off the podium? All right. Shall we welcome our artists?
Dumelang botsadi. Botsadi a ke letlho. Dumelang botsadi. Ba gaetsho dumela. Ke bidwa hela go Tequila. Setlhopha se lo se bonang se ke Killer Arts Group. Ha ke riana ke tsene matsatseng ke tsoma ka matsatselo ko nna ntse motsopodi ya motswantsong wa motswasele le tsopala motswaiso ga ke a tseana ke tsepame a re tanke lo tlotele totlontso ga ke tontolle ke a lotla ga ke bula le tole ke a tontone ga nna motla wa ditlotlo di tsotseng ke matlola terata a re motho ka botsa gore go bua mang go bua nna motshola thebe ga ke tete ke a thekesela ke mathaiti ga ke a thobela ke thomile mathomong ga nne mo phato thaiwa a re so se mogaga mola motho ka botsa gore go bua mang go bua nna motshola thebe ga ke tete ke a thekesela ke mathaiti ga ke a thobela ke thomile mathomo ga ne mo phato thaiwa a re ke khobola ntho nna mo khankgarakgana rita makgonte ke kgalama ke kgala jaaka mokgala jwa mokgalagadi a khobile a kgalama dikhomutsa ba khatla ba ga khafela a re so se mogaga mola ke goga magala ke lebile magaga nna se gang ka sa go kgalaka ya re ke gadima le gatlapa le go jaaka le ga ka be gone ke bogale jwa le gadima a lona le nna botsani a re nthetsang ke itsatsa ula tsatsi lotlhe ke tsena le tse ke tsepame gareng ga matsetse ke tsomana le tsone tsa etho tse di tshwana a re ke tlhana sala nna tla rantho pe a tlaka ntsuke ke tlhaba botlhale go matlhala a botlhaba tsatsi a tlhole dithamalakwane tse di tlhobang boroko a re tlatsana o kila se kgwa se tlhatsana sa botlakala ka go tlhakala tsa botlhatla re ba kgaretlhang mafarata tha sa itlhatlhabanang a re kgarejana ke ratile ka jeno ntatile ke tlhadile ba etso bangadile ba re ke padile ke batatile nna ba ratile go mona ka seemo a sakile a bidio a ratile ke sa mona ke tagilwe a re ke mollo ke khwatla se ke khwamagala ke botlhoko jaaka sa ntlhoko ke baba jaaka se ba yetswane ke motswana se kgantswane sa magaga ga ke ikgantse ke le gare la mogare wa mmino go tswa magageng a re phuduhudu le phage bane ba iphanya phakela ba iphataphatela phukule phate ba ipapetela phateng tsa bopoipoi ba phanyegile ba phantse ke diphaiphai tsa bophadiphadi a lona le nna botsane ma ke se ke ka ela tswa bo bintirelo my selector
Yo, my selector ko pa we tshware. Yo. Botsadi ba re bana le bothata ba sound. Ga etswe the way ba batla etswe ka teng Hotman. Ba re sound ga e balle le monate motsadi. Ba kopa gore o e oketse nyana e utlwale. Hotman kopa o e bulele yote. Le mo sound. Sure, tshameka music Hotman. Performela utsadi yano. Utsadi kopa mogolo kwane. Ari simula performela utsadi. Ari tsamaya. Ari tsamaya. Ari tsamaya. Ari tsamaya. Ari pinele utsadi. Ari tsamaya. Artsaman. 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 Nane kisiyo, kumone kai, kusetsanya. Artsaman. Artsaman. Artama, Artama, Artama. Artama, banyana wami, banyana wami. Banyana wami, banyana wami. Artama, banyana wami. Artama, Artama. Thank you very much, Artama. Banyana wami, banyana wami, Artama, katas, Artama imashu, banyana wami, banyana wami, Artama, banyana wami. Banyana wami muhulu kwani Artsamai Artsamai banyana wami leba simane ravara katas 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 khwabilo wasala khwabilo wasala khwabilo wasala khwabilo wasala khwabilo wasala khwabilo Artsamai isi go fele le sana kana go fele santse batla Artsamai isi go fele Artsamai Are tsamaye. Tsamaye. Banyana wabi. Banyana wabi. Banyana wabi. Tsamaye. 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 Banyana babu, Tamaisa. Banyana babu, Tamaisa. Banyana babu, Brava Rav. Wasad, 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 Wasad. Wasad, Banyana babu, Banyana babu, Banyana babu. Banyana babu, Tama, Waka Swar, Tama, Ukra, Yo, re lebogile botsadi.
Can we give them another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Another round of applause, and thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ntate Mabe, I like to acknowledge you. And I just like to say this, that now I'm from the Eastern Cape. Ne? Obviously, our dance is different from what I've just seen. When we were here for Archives Week, when they were performing on the 8th, I had goosebumps. Even today, I've got goosebumps. I think it's telling us something. This thing must not end here. The world must know about it. South Africa must know better about this. And these performances must also go to our archival collections, and they should be part of them. We've got the National Film, Video and Sound Archives. We should be having recordings of this so that generations that come after us should know about this. Can we give them another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you very much. Yeah, and that was my way of acknowledging your presence here, and thank you very much for honoring us. Prof. Krill, you came with two of your students who I wish to also acknowledge, and I hope I'm going to pronounce their names correctly. Caitlin Leroux, can just wave, ladies. And then Zita, is it Oranje or Orange? Oranje, yes, just wave. They are from the University of Pretoria. I also wish to acknowledge Edward Kuto from the Community Safety and Transport Management. Just wave. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Hopelang Faltein, who's the District Director of Dr. Ruth Sehomotse. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And then we also have members of the Mkhonto Wesizwe Liberation War veterans, and Tateli Tukhile Museki. Just wave. Thank you, sir. Tateng Otto Lucas Mangonyane. Thank you. Thank you. Tata Roki Mahachane. Is it Mahachane? Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And Ulebokhile Chabalala. Ulebokhile Chabalala, just wave. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And okay, I can't read this. Get Dr. Maito Nangolam. So she will have to rewrite this. Yeah, she will have to rewrite this, and then I will acknowledge. Can I, before I call on Dr. Castleman, can I call our poet, Bukamuso? Can I call you to just come and render an item? And Bukamuso will be featuring Ndati Molekang. Molefe? Yeah, no. Ish. Yeah, no, you guys are really writing like you're right, Joale ka Dr. Mujuta. Lena Ngwala so. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? Okay, cool. Sure, thank you. Shall we give them another round of applause?
Do it more personal.
It's personal with the microphone.
No, take a quest. Oh yeah. Relax, man. It's international. Yes. 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 Itilil. Oh, 7 number.
I think you must continue so that this will take time.
6, 7, 8, 9.
It looks like we're still having some challenges with our sound whilst they are sorting themselves out. Shall we continue with the program? But before I call on Dr. Castleman, I also wish to acknowledge the presence of Mayane Kalapa and Linda Thabo Kawing, who's the acting district director with Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. And I think I acknowledged Mr. Hupelang Faltein. Did I? Yes, I did. Okay, thank you very much. I am going to call upon Dr. Castleman, and please allow me to just read a short bio. And Dr. Castleman is the head of the Royal Bafokeng Records and Archives, and she's pioneering a new era in knowledge management at the Royal Bafokeng. She's formerly a global chief operations officer from February 2023 to August 2024. And she leads the strategic mission of reinvigorating the NPO on an international scale across the American, Canadian, APAC, and South African regions. placing primary focus on organizational transformation, value engineering, and business stakeholder re-energization, aptly positioning the GKIHS for sustainability and success. And Dr. Castleman will be talking to us about the role of archives in preserving democratic memory and national identity. Shall we welcome her with a hand of applause, please? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I don't think I need this. All right. I never know what to do with it when it's in my hand. I'm a mama from Africa. I don't need mics. I can talk. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. First of all, I represent the Royal Bafokeng Nation, and I'm very proud to represent them. I represent them as a manager, not as a bona fide Mofokeng. But I respect them, and I'm led by a king. For generations, the world looked at an archive as a quiet place, a silent vault and steel with dust, yellowed paper, and the administrative decrees of long-dead bureaucracies. We were taught that the archivist's duty was simply to preserve what was left behind, to be objective keepers of a static past. When I came back to the Bafokeng, that was my mission, is to organize their archives and their records. And I walked in there, and this is what I found: yellowed papers, static records. But as we start to work through these records, I realize there's something missing. What is a democratic memory? It is the radical act of ensuring that the historical records belong to everyone, not just the powerful. The traditional colonial archives were built from top to down. They captured the letters of governance, the maps of surveyors, and the logs of missionaries. But a true democracy cannot survive on a one-sided memory. And that was there. All the maps, all the title deeds, the historical documents, the legal cases are all there. What was missing? The democratic memory demands that we actively break what we call archival silence. It forces us to ask, whose stories are missing? Whose voices were deliberately left out of the ledger? If you walk through our history, you will see exactly how we bring democratic memory to life. Look at the stories of our grandmothers, the elderly Tswana women who lived through the eras of segregation and Bantustan. For decades, they lived and experienced domesticity, resilience, and labor existed only in their minds. Where are those stories? Have we recorded those? By capturing their oral histories, by placing their direct testimonies, their raw, unedited voices into our collections, we democratize the archive. When a grandmother's memory of school days, or not being allowed to go to school, is preserved with the same structural integrity as a prudential decree, democracy is functioning. We give the citizens the right to truth, and we hold history accountable. This brings us to the second pillar of national identity. Identity is not carved in stone. It is a living narrative that a society continuously negotiates. And the bedrock of that identity is agency. Too often, historic books paint the indigenous communities like the Bafokeng purely as victims of historical, current, passive subjects to whom things happened. But the archive, when interrogated deeply, reveals a completely different truth, a narrative, profound strategic brilliance and self-determination. And that's one of the most important things of the Bafokeng, is their strategic insight. Consider the history of Phokeng and the Tswana mission established in 1867. When the weight of Boer restrictions and encroaching colonial settlements threatened to dispossess the people of their land, our leaders did not simply yield. They realized they can't buy the land because they are black. Yes. So, Kgosi Mokgatle and the Bafokeng leadership looked at the chessboard of history and made a strategic calculation. They utilized trust-based agreements with the Hermannsburg missionaries to purchase land on behalf of the people. They went out and they said, let's get the money. And they sat together in the Kutles, the Khotlas, and said, how are we going to get this money together? And I'm sure you know various ways of money gathering or objectives were done, but the most important was that the young people were sent to Kimberley, the young men. They went on worked on the mines, brought the money back. A percentage they kept, and a percentage was given towards this trust to buy land. Today, the Bafokeng owns 1,000 square kilometers of land. Yes. Think about the weight of that archival truth. That was not compliance, it was resistance. It was a calculated land plan that prevented our people from being marginalized into reserves. They're very wealthy that secure the economic independence and pride of the Royal Bafokeng Nation today. As you know, that platinum was also found on the land, and again, they actively pursue a legal case not to only serve or to only earn royalties, but to have shareholding in the platinum mines. The Merensky belt ran through luck through their land, but they didn't sit back and only take what was given to them. No, they had a legal battle and they won the case to own shares in the mines. In a democracy, archives transform citizens from passive subjects into active stakeholders with a right to know. They preserve democratic memory through three critical mechanisms: evidence against erasure, enabling traditional justice, and institutional transparency. If the history is the narrative of a nation, archives are the raw materials. However, traditional archive has often favored the voice of the powerful, leaving significant gaps in the collective history. National identity cannot be built solely on the government gazettes, the legal cases, and the documents and the title deeds. To reflect a true national identity, archives must capture the lived experiences of all communities. Oral histories is but one example. Community-led collections is another. There are all sorts of artifacts in the archives that I started to build approximately 14, 15 months ago. But I don't see the collections from the community. That is a huge mission that we still need to embark on. Then cultural repositories, preserving lineage, indigenous knowledge systems, and local histories that standard institutional frameworks historically overlooked. We lived in an era of digital transformation, and that I've experienced firsthand. So we have approximately 2,700 Metrofile, these boxes, of material that we found in the archive. Not catalogued, not categorized, no meta tagging. How do you find anything? You start and work from a side. We're 58% through those documents. We meta tag them, we catalog them, and we will preserve them for future to come. So that is the first thing. We will also identify priority documents that will be digitized. So the first pillar is to digitize at least the current documentation that's developed on a day-to-day basis. People work on documents every day. Those will become tomorrow's history. We need to capture that as the foundation. Secondly, the physical documents need to be digitized, specifically the frail, fragile, and documents that are priority documents and has archival value. The third pillar will be to form a digital archive. So first we have all documents, then we have physical documents that we capture. And the third is we want to tell the story to the world. So we have to have a digital archive, but it's all interconnected. These aren't standalone pillars. They are built from a foundation of digital documentation. The fourth pillar is that we have to have a research and knowledge hub. We want to invite people to come and write up these histories, these collections. And it's not only historical collections. The Bafokeng, as you know, are well known for the way they benefit the community with roads, with water. Every household in Phokeng has, or in Bafokeng, has potable water provided by the Bafokeng. There are 7 reservoirs that the Bafokeng built. There are approximately 120 kilometers of roads. Road reticulation, stormwater reticulation were done by them. Those things need to be written up. It needs to be documented. We will sign agreements with different universities and institutions for students who would be interested in doing masters and doctorates to come and write up these very important sets of collections and documents. Then monuments crumble and empires fall, but the records endure. The journey from the German mission stations of the 19th century to the autonomous, vibrant, independent existence mirrors our broader journey as people. It is a transition from an external framework to complete indigenous self-determination. As archivists, leaders, mentors, our life's purpose must be to ensure the youth who walk through our doors know the history. We must integrate the rich text into curriculum, utilize modern digital archives to bring these timelines to life, and use storytelling as a primary tool for heritage education. Let us commit to building archives that are democratic, inclusive, and fiercely protective of our identity. Because when a community understands its past, it becomes unbroken. When a nation owns its memory, it commands its future. I want to call on everybody in this room that uses AI to transcribe meetings and translate them. Who uses those tools? Come on, guys. Who uses tools of AI?
We do.
You do?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to translate English to Setswana?
Yes.
And? It works.
Yeah, it works.
On which platform? Mazanzi? ChatGPT? ChatGPT summarizes. It doesn't give you a transcribe. Copilot doesn't give you a transcribe. It's our responsibility to build language models. It interprets. It summarizes. It doesn't give you a verbatim transcription of Setswana. I've tested it. We have oral histories and we try to transcribe them. It's not possible. So we do it by hand, and we are at the moment teaching our own bot to speak Setswana and to read Setswana and to transcribe Setswana into English. And that's unfortunately the reality of AI. AI still colonizes us.
True.
It doesn't acknowledge Africa. Where does it come from? From America and Europe and the East. We need to stand up and build our own. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Castleman, for that thought-provoking presentation or speech. And I'm happy that in actual fact you mentioned Phokeng. And Prof. Kriel will attest to the reality that the exhibition actually also talk to the German missionary station in Phokeng. And then it also talks to the work that was done in partnership between the Germans and Kgosi Mokhatle of the Bafokeng. So thank you very much for that speech. And the other part that I think I liked very much is the work that you actually want to do with young people who are studying, that they must come into your institution, work on your archives, and write. You know, that I'm looking forward to. Shall we give you another round of applause, and then I'm going to call upon our poet Bukamuso, and now their sound system is fine, and now they are going to, and now the sound engineer is not here. Okay, shall we then pass? And now the sound engineer is here. Okay, is he here? Is he ready? Are you guys ready? Are you ready? In 1 minute, in 1 second. These are the beautiful glitches that one gets to experience in events like these ones. But yes, they are ready. Shall we give them a hand of applause and welcome them? Thank you.
Nna ba mpitsa phiri ga ke bona ke basimanyana ke thaka di sa pasi ke pela bagolo ba ba ngata ba mpitsa moseka phofu wa gabo ga sho lentswe setswana nke setolokiwa. So today we're going to do a poem about men, monna, because it's a mental health. We keep talking about mental health, but we don't talk about monna. What is a man?
Kilikile.
Kilikile.
I have tried.
Kilikile.
Akelinthuseng.
Help me. Kopalinthuseng.
Dikgapha tsa banna di fetile diphororo re la re sa qete. Tears are becoming streams of rivers. They are flooding our lands. Impa monna ke nku halle. They have taught me to be silent in my own heart. Matsatsing ke di feta le dilemo di feta maikutlo a ntsa palamana ke lla ke le mong akelinthuseng ke etse jwang ha ba ntsheha dikgapha tsa ka ke dipapadi ho bona monna halle le sefubeng sa e mong o llela kantorong ya le mong ba ngutile hore ke se bui. My tears are a joke to other people. Akelinthuseng ntate Bokamoso utlwa sello sa ka.
Lefatshe nka re o tla pulega ke a tsena mo teng ke a tsena ka kutlo botlhoko le ditlhabi lefatshe bulega ke lekile. A society already titled me ba mpile mahoko ba mpile maina, they titled me ba re ke monna ke nku ga ke le mo teng. I should not cry into the kali. I should have waited. Ke lekile Fatabo ane a tsena mo ntlong. When he came home, he found his family, his children, his daughters and his sons, his wife. They told him that, Papa, I'm hungry. But he was so hungry, he couldn't tell. His pains deep down, he was crying, depression, anxiety was taking his life bit by bit. Emotions and anxiety, the pills was the only way to survive, even drugs and alcohol. When he came home, he was like, Banabaka, I'm okay. But deep down he was crying. When he went to bed, you can hear his tears. One can hear the emotions of the father. A father, you must be a man. Society give you a title to be a man. What is a man? Monna king. I am a man. But how can I I become a man, deep down I'm crying. Anxiety, depression. What's one? Help me. Kopalin Tuseng. Kopalin Tuseng. Banna. Lehatsi Bulecha. Kopalin Tuseng. Tate Mofokeng. Irile. Khonna bosigo. Ele nako ya ditoro. Tsa ga ditoro. Le mma ditoro. Re Thabo ana batla go lora. Mme mosadi a re tšhelete kae. Mathata botshelo a kae. Tate Mofokeng. He had dreams. Ene ele monna mo lelapeng. Wa mitse monna o.
Olatwi ke ba kokele ka mokoko mo lokopua ke ba kopi ba kwa hammalemane anan khatsetsa gore ke khathole kaka ena ene khathabolla mitla kwa modimo ang khathaulela a mpontsha diketso diri kaka ena impalame ke fumama ka lengwele ke le mo pills were the solution but I never saw provocation when I pushed towards the end ne ke dutse botibong ba letamo ke khaka I was drowning from my own tears ha ne ke sheba batho a their shadows mara ne ke sa bone botho ka rapelo tsa bona hobane ha ne ke bua ne ba sa nkuplisisi ha ne ke lla ne ba sa ntudisi ha ne ke thola ne ba bona ekare ke fotse maikutlong. You never heal until you really see your problems fading away. The burden on my shoulder has never been what I can call a burden anymore because they have become my real feelings. Monna halle ale mong o lla le dikeledi di fetwa motswalle le lapa le fetwa dira hobane they are the cause of the pain of a man. Monna ha dutsi ale mong a nahana mathata a lefatshe letsatsi la dikela but the moon comes to shine. Can you be the moon for me? Dikeledi tsaka ntate bokamoso.
Bare goba monna. They say I have to be a provider, but who can provide for my feelings? Deep down I'm crying. Khotata. Dichelete musadi wa di batla bana ba batla diaparo. I can't kilikile. I saw them taking their lives. I couldn't help them because they were trying to dream in Elebanna. Some can say they were like women, but never bola di tware. Me khwatswana. Alapile. They have tried. Can we give them chance? Can we hear them? I saw them smiling, but deep down they were dying, bit by bit, slowly. I'm losing myself. Bukamoso, Batamaya, but they expect a lot from a man. What is a man? A man is a man because of a gender. What is a man? A man is a man because of an identity. But deep down, what about my feelings? Kimonna, khoba monna khotata. When a society give you names, they say you're a man. Indoda khali, awukhali, mina ngiyakhala bafu. Can men cry? Because deep down they are dying slowly. We see men committing suicide, but not because they want to commit suicide, because they can't handle. Khwatswana. I tried to pray. Khwatswana. Behind the closed doors, I could see my dreams escalating. I could see myself dying. Anxiety and depression, they took my lives. I hope you are happy. Khoba monna. Tuse. Help me. Thank you guys. Mental health. June is for men. Let's respect our men and hear them guys. Because they are dying. Thank you.
Wow, respect, man. Wow. Can we give them another round of applause? Man, let's call our jealous, man. Yes. Thank you, Bukamoso. Thank you so much. Yeah, goosebumps again. Okay. All right, now I'm going to call Professor Krill, Lisa Krill, who's our keynote speaker for the day. She is the acting head of the School of the Arts at the University of Pretoria, and she teaches visual history. She has been trained in history and historiography. Yeah, And then she's interested in missionary archives for the past 3 decades. She is the editor of a forthcoming book on first generation African Christians conversations with a German missionary. And the focus of this book is the Limpopo province. Is that correct, Prof? Yes, thank you very much. Prof, the podium is yours. And after this, at some stage, Prof is going to take us through what is behind the banner. Thank you very much. Prof?
Thank you very much. Honorable hosts and guests, please allow me to take this opportunity to thank you on behalf of myself and my 2 colleagues, Zita and Caitlin from the University of Pretoria. We had a wonderful time in Northwest. We wish we could stay longer. We were really overwhelmed and humbled by the generosity and the kindness of everyone here at the archives, but also on the streets and where we stay. We'd love to come back to your province. Thank you very much for that. Yes, I would like to give you a hand for that. Thank you. Archives as sources of knowledge in support of research, innovation, and education. Where do I start? My own relationship with the archives. I love working in archives. I cannot wait for sabbaticals that I can go and sit in the reading room and browse through the old documents, carefully working through them. Increasingly these days, that reading room is my own bedroom or my own study or sometimes a coffee shop, because more and more material is available digitally and I can go through the one PDF document after the other. It's not always been like this. When I started working in the archives, I felt incredibly intimidated. But over the years, perhaps too late, but I'm very grateful that I got around to it, I realized that it helps to get in touch with the archivists. I became more and more aware of it, that as a person who studied history, I am a consumer of the archives. I am a user, and in the process of acquiring knowledge from the archives, I gradually, in collaboration with the people I then go back to ask more questions, I think I also start contributing to new archives. But as technology runs ahead of us, I more and more came to realize that no researcher can do the work they do if they are not people in the institutions who conserve, preserve, interpret, order, digitize, and make accessible the material that I am interested in. And I think International Archives Day should be that message to all of us who feel that as citizens of a country, or for that matter, any country, also archives overseas, you can walk in and it's free and you can make use of all these facilities to try and produce a more complicated, more complex account of what it means to be human. And that is, of course, a discussion without end. Which brings me back to the notion of knowledge. I think working in the archives confirms that knowledge production is iterative. You approach the archive with questions, but once you get to know the material in an archive, it produces different kinds of questions. There was a scholar working on archives in India a decade or 2 ago who spoke about dwelling in the archives. And this is a tension which I think researchers encounter over and over again. You are perhaps sent to the archives with questions from a client for whom you want to do research. Someone wants to know, who was my ancestor? Does this ancestor have a say on this piece of land? Who is the rightful successor of this community? Or where did my great-grandfather go after the forced removal? The Mission Archive must be able to tell me these things because I know he was in the Lutheran Church. And then one enters the archive and one doesn't always find these answers for this person, but you find other things and you find other names, and then you think, maybe I should try and get hold of these people and tell them, do you know your great-grandfather is in the archives? And he wrote books, and he had long conversations with missionaries, and he explained to the missionary how the cosmology was understood in the early 20th century. So I think it is a process of give and take. And what I also realize, we always begin with memory, don't we? If we do not remember, we do not ask further questions. And the more we remember, the more curious we become. Sometimes I think we prefer to forget certain things and rather focus on others. We also, as innovative human beings, have the right to make stories about who we are according to what we want to be. Not that we want to push certain things under the carpet, but we may perhaps say, yes, these were the things I always thought was true about my people, but when I look into the archives, there are some surprises, sometimes disconcerting, sometimes very encouraging. And then one has to go and arrange that in your life to think, how are you going to take the story forward? I had very interesting conversations with colleagues from the National Archives about the oral history projects, which is run by Department of Sport, Arts and Culture. And I think this is the healthiest way to develop a relationship with the archive. Now, I work in a school of the arts, and beside painting, the other word which is used very often is curating. We are in an age of curating, but I don't think you need to be in an art department to know the word. We think about our right as human beings also to organize our physical world with things that make sense to us and give us an understanding of place. But the other word, which in the art department also becomes very frequently used, which may perhaps be surprising to the archivists in the room, is the archive. So much so that someone who was initially trained in history with the old idea that the archive is an institution, I sometimes get a bit irritated with students and say, where is this archive you talk about? The archive, as if it is this ephemeral, fuzzy thing. And then I get the impression that we like to use archive as a metaphor these days of everything we believe should be there about the past that can connect us with the past. We speak about human beings as living archives. We enjoy performances and think, yes, this is part of who we are, and we hope that somehow this can be captured and recorded. But time is so fugitive, is it not? And the moment it's recorded, it's captured and it's frozen, and it is taken out of context. And it seems to me as if this is the hard task of the interpreter in the archives, which can not only be the researcher. This must be a collaborative process between the inquisitive person who wants to know, the researcher who does the work, the archivists who provide the information, to work around context and to say, this letter that I find that was written in 1863, how am I going to turn the information in this letter into understandable knowledge? It may, first of all, as we've already heard from previous speakers, be a matter of language. Do I understand the language on that piece of paper? In the German mission archives, it goes further. It is a matter of script. Even if I have taken some German courses at the university and I feel I can read German now, can I read this old script? Until 1940, German children at school learned 3 ways of writing. They learned loose Roman letters, they learned cursive as we know it today, and they learned Kurrent, some people call it Süterlin, a different kind of cursive writing, which was meant to be very fast because you never lifted your pen. For us, it looks like squiggles and scribbles today. That also has to be confronted if you want to understand what this letter from 1863 wants to tell you. So one also needs the assistance of experts, not necessarily about that part of the country or that period of history, but persons who are philologists who can help you with understanding the language. And here I am very, very grateful for technology. When I started doing research in German language archives, I had to learn this handwriting, and I had to pay experienced readers of this handwriting. Very soon, it will be possible to take an app, use your phone, and optic character recognition will help you to convert those squiggles into Roman letters. And if you take a further step, you can then also translate it into English. Of course, it's fallible. It's far from dwelling in the archive and understanding the context. But at least it is a way of finding keywords, which 5 years ago, 3 years ago, we would not have been able to access in this way. And for this, I also feel that users of the archive must be very grateful for IT specialists, for persons who invest in kinds of software, search techniques, and systems that can make this kind of information more accessible, so that one can eventually take that document and say, how does this relate to what people were curious about, told me about? How does this relate to documents in other archives? I think this is also something which we have to keep in mind. My work is mostly in archives produced by missionary societies, but to get the fuller picture, I must not only speak with people who have memories, I also have to go to the National Archives in Pretoria to see what the Boers had written about this if I'm still in the 1860s. I may perhaps also have to look what the Public Record Office in Britain has, if it was a time in which that government also started to observe and record information. So yes, it is an endless adventure, sometimes incredibly frustrating, often remarkably fascinating, showing something about how complex it is to be a human being. And to quote Huxley with that famous saying of his, the past is a foreign country. They do things differently there. Of course, one must also not forget that before you go into the written texts in the archives, you may take a few shortcuts. One can perhaps first go past the library, and besides publications recently produced by historians, one must also remember the social media in the pre-digital age. Before people had Facebook, before people had Instagram, people had magazines, a very old-fashioned thing in our time today. But people wrote incessantly for hundreds of small little magazines and newspapers. And if we think plagiarism is a problem today, throughout the 19th and the early 20th century, these little magazines also plagiarized one another. So you can be as lucky as reading a summary of an article that appeared in the United States or in Germany in Sepedi translation in a newspaper that was produced by missionaries for African readers in Middelburg in 1914. Of course, you have to peel back the layers, see how it was spiced and peppered and cut short. We must always remain curious to say, why did this person write this and only this and not that? But the more you understand how people worked with information in a previous age, the more exciting it also becomes to try and imagine that you go into that past, which is another country. I think it's an exciting time for archival research, especially because as we move into new technological ways of communicating, we become more curious about the older forms. And this is, I think, part of the exciting project. Whereas it would have been taken for granted previously, now we have to tell ourselves, what is it that we have here? How am I going to explain this to my children? Why do we have to be careful before we think we'll microfiche everything and throw away the originals? How can it also force us to be humble about what we think is the great solution for record keeping for the future. So with all this in mind, I would like to introduce you to Mission Mzansi. How did it start? It started as a gesture of friendship, I would like to think, between the governments of Germany and South Africa about 3 years ago at the bilateral commission of our two countries, where it was decided that something should be done about the history of German missionaries in South Africa and their legacy, and how that is available as archival material. The the ambassador of Germany in South Africa, Mr. Andreas Peschke, then invited all the stakeholders he could think of to his home, and we had a wonderful conversation, and we were ready, and we decided we're going to make an exhibition. We decided that it should perhaps not only be about the Berlin mission, because then there would not have been much about your province in this exhibition, because the Hermannsburg missionaries were active around here. Of course, also English language missionaries, but from the German side, the Hermannsburgers. We had the Berliners were more in Limpopo, Gauteng, Eastern Cape, Free State. Yeah, they were more spread out, whereas the Hermannsburgers were more in what is today Northwest Province and KwaZulu-Natal. And then there was also the realizations that before the Hermannsburgers and the Berlin missionaries came to South Africa, we have to go to the Cape while it was still under Dutch East India Company rule. The very first person who came from Europe as a missionary to South Africa was German. Or was he Czech? Because he came from a part of the world called Moravia and fled to Germany, but he spoke German. So for the purposes of the study, and because his society is in Germany today, we could add him to the story. I think you can already see that this is building up, and one has to make choices. What is it that you want to focus on if you want to make an exhibition of this nature? The purpose of the exhibition, as I see it, is to explain the prominence of German sources if one looks at missionary records for the purpose of studying South African history. And I hope that the panels in the exhibition, especially the first part of it, can explain who these missionaries were, where they came from, why they came. Yes, eventually it helps to also know an awful lot about the missionaries before you can understand what they wrote up about South African people. Why did they stay? By the way, I'm not a missionary descendant, so I'm very Afrikaans. But I realized, especially during the making of this exhibition, I had so many interviews with descendants of German missionaries, and it's also a different kind of responsibility, I think, if you write the history of people who are not your own. I think it requires that you have to, I must say the breeze is very nice up front, so one has to tread softly when you run over other people's territory. So this is very much where I see myself as Afrikaner, being immersed in the history of this country, being complicit in many activities, but now I focus specifically on the interaction between people of German descent with people of Tswana descent, Zulu descent, Pedi descent, people of the indigenous communities. But what I did notice when I spoke with descendants of the German missionaries, surprisingly they appreciated this exhibition, which is actually not about them, incredibly much. And in Pretoria, because there is a German old age home very close to the university, I had many 70, 80-year-old German people, fourth, fifth generation South African Germans who came to the exhibition. And I was left with a sense of them being grateful that the legacy of their parents and great-parents is acknowledged by the government of our country and by the government of the German government, and that the complexity of who they are is also acknowledged in this. Many of them also said to me that they do not want to be the center point of this history, because for many of them, this was not why their great-grandparents came here, but they came to serve. Of course, we know it didn't always work out this way. There are numerous stories of exploitative, nasty missionary characters. But I think if you are a descendant of these people and you are still in South Africa, you would like to think that you are also, perhaps in an unintended way, building something bigger than yourself. One example I can give is Mr. Heinz Küsel. He is fourth generation German South African. His cousin, Udo Küsel, was director of the museums in Gauteng for a very long time. He also wrote a thick book about the Hermannsburg missionaries. But Heinz, when he retired, realized in his second post-retirement career as a tour guide that there's a lot of information available in German which South Africans cannot read. So, having engineering skills, he took it upon himself to figure out how he can scan one of the periodicals or magazines of the Hermannsburgers. It was called the Hermannsburg Missionsblatt. It appeared every month and it reported on all the mission societies, mission stations, which the Hermannsburg Missionary Society were involved in South Africa. And he designed a system so that, first of all, through optic character recognition, he could convert the old German script into the script we use today. So if you open his website, in the first column on the screen, you see the original Hermannsburg Missionsblatt. In the second column, you see a machine-rendered version in a German, which a person who has studied German or was born German can read. And in the third column, he has a machine-translated English version of what you find in the Hermannsburg Missionsblatt. It's far from complete, it's far from perfect. But if you want to see if Kgosi Mokgatle is mentioned in the Hermannsburg Missionsblatt, you can control-find, type in Mokgatle, and you can then trace and say, okay, there's something that's mentioned, doesn't look relevant, there's something that's mentioned, let me see if the English makes sense. If it doesn't, you call someone and say, I would like to pay you to translate this paragraph for me, which is very different from what you would have had to do 2 years ago when you had to pay a researcher to say, please go through all these periodicals and see if you can find something for me. So it brings a lot of agency to a person who can read English. And hopefully this resource will be available on the University of Pretoria website in the next few months. It's still very exploratory. If you're interested to help Mr. Küsel to test this, let me know. He's very, very keen to have guinea pigs who can help him with this. And then, of course, your next step can then be to write to the Hermannsburg Mission Society in Germany and say, I'm interested in this and this and this. It was in this region, these years, what can you find for me? And that makes that archivist's work much simpler. What you will see in this exhibition, when you move on to the Berlin Mission Society, is that a lot more digitization has already taken place there. 10 years ago still, when I was on study leave, I had to go and sit in the reading room in Germany, and I could only ask for 3 files. I was not allowed to use a camera, and I had to work through those files per day. At that stage, a researcher at the Humboldt University, who is also a South African, Anneke Joubert, got permission from those archives to digitize a significant section which is relevant specifically for the people around Polokwane today, the Dikolowe people and the people of Mankweng, and the greater Woodbush area. So that has been available on a digital platform ever since. Most recently, if you search on the website of the Berlin Brandenburg churches, you can find almost everything that was produced by the Berlin Mission Society in its 200 years existence, and you can search with keywords. It can lead you to the PDF documents. At the moment, you cannot download it because they are moving to a new platform, but very soon it will also be possible to get hold of those files. Your challenge will then be that if this missionary wrote in the old-fashioned Courant, you will need someone to help you to decipher it. But in the 20th century, many documents were printed on typewriters, and one can always start with what is accessible to you and then gradually work your way back. So I hope that this exhibition can give just enough background to make visitors curious, to then start thinking, how can I explore these sources myself? And before you buy a flight ticket, because they're very expensive now, and fly to Germany, perhaps buy a bit of data and see where it can take you. And most certainly also do not forget our South African archives, because missionaries, sometimes in collaboration with the colonial governments, sometimes representing African communities against local governments, had to write to the colonial governments. They had to write to the Boers, they had to write to the Brits, and they were either explaining things on behalf of Africans, or they were speaking on behalf of Africans, not because Africans couldn't speak, but because legislation didn't allow them. Or they, of course, were also on the other side of the fence and not doing much for the African community. But bringing all these things together and having those conversations with people who remember gives us a growing image of where to go. And then, of course, I cannot conclude without saying this. This is a very visual history. Missionaries were very quick to acquire cameras. They made illustrations of the landscapes they saw. They drew maps wherever they got, because they always had to say the fountain is on the missionary side of the fence and not in the Hoshist side. That kind of thing made them draw images all the time. And they also were very keen on working with visual material when they tried to create faith communities. And the moment then that African Christians decided, I want to make this church my own, or they decided to make their own churches, like the Bapedi Lutheran Church, the Bakhatla Lutheran Church, they also started to produce photographs, publications, letters, correspondence. There is a lot to work with, and it is intriguing. It keeps whetting your curiosity, and it makes us stand in awe for the perseverance and the endurance and the humanity of those that were before us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Kriel. She has, I guess, partly given us a summary of what we are going to see behind this. And Tatema will stand by so that we cut the ribbon. Mesimpe and Maite bought a gold pair of scissors. I think the supply chain must account and PFMA, yeah? It's okay. It's all right. I don't know, is the cultural group ready to perform? Are they ready? Okay, can we give them an opportunity to perform? And then after that, we're going to cut the ribbon and go to see what is behind here. Are you calling them? Are they coming? Is the music ready this time? The music is ready? Do you need the microphone? Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Dumelang gape botsadi. Botsadi dumelang. Dumelang gape botsadi. O ka nna wa re direla yalo mai selector. Ba nnentse ba ikatumetsa. Ya. Ke Killer Arts Group botsadi go tswa ko motseng wa Motsoseng. Ke Killer Arts Group go tswa ko Motsoseng botsadi. Ba ba gorogang ba. Ra ba baakanyetsa mai selector ba baakanyetsa. Killer Arts Group. Killer Arts Group. Shoo. Shoo.
Ari du le magole la masere se tlhaneng na mosimane wa magano ke dilo. Ari ke rua se le tlogele ke boi ke ruise gape le boi le tlogele tota nna ke tla rua magole la masere se tlhaneng na mosimane wa magano ke dilo.
And re tsenya Rre Mabe, re lebogile botsadi. Re lebogile botsadi.
Thank you very much. Goosebumps again. Eish. Dr. Mabe, eish. Goosebumps. All right. Shall I call upon Dr. Mabe and the pair of scissors? Yes, it's gold. Next to the ribbon, Prof. Kriel, Dr. Castleman. Yes, Prof. Kriel, come close to the ribbon, Dr. Castleman. We are cutting the ribbon to, and then I need colleagues who are going to remove the banner. Okay, and I need another one that side, David. Yes. Can we stand by to cut the ribbon? You're cutting the ribbon in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you cut. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Colleagues, welcome to the Mission Mzansi exhibition. And Prof. Kriel, may I hand over the mic to you, maybe just to take the colleagues. I don't know, colleagues can actually take the opportunity to walk around, or they can stand there so that Prof. Kriel can actually explain. Those who are at the front can sit so that we don't disturb that.
Thank you very much. There's a lot to read. That is why we also have booklets. And please also remember the very backside part of your booklet, because there are the websites where you can find more information. All right, I just have to acknowledge the designer. I'm so happy because I'm in an art school. I have access to very good designers. It was Nikki Venholt. She is a descendant of the Hermannsburg missionaries, who were also working in the Bokeng area. She did the design after many years in which she has designed calendars for Elxa and Nelxa and various other Lutheran churches. The structure was built by Balti du Plessis, who has had a long career in constructing materials for museum exhibitions, and he wanted it to be in wood, and he wanted it to be a bit more intricate, because he wanted to remind us that much of the handicraft, the vuilskoene, which people love to go and buy when they visit places like Genadendal and Wuppertal in the Western Cape, that tradition was introduced but then taken over and internalized. Well, it was introduced by the missionaries and taken over by South African communities. All right, so how the exhibition works. Oh, and yes, let me also just not fail to say thank you to the German federal government, who gave money for a research project, which made it possible for us to host the work at the University of Pretoria. All right, so if you start with this panel, it is the cover. Of course, if you haven't done research in missionary archives, you may wonder what on earth is and was a missionary. Why do we focus on German missionaries? So this first panel just tries to give that background. And you will see these little speech bubbles. It represents views of various people that I interviewed or read about during the course of the research. Statements people would make, like many of these were in Pretoria in the past month. I want to read what the German missionaries wrote about my ancestors. Perhaps they confirm the oral tradition about my grandfather's chiefly status. There are also people who would say, I'm a fifth-generation missionary descendant and I still speak German. There are missionary descendants who say today, I'm a Muslim or a Buddhist. There are people who say, I'm not sure how to feel about my missionary roots. There are people who say the missionaries took our land, and then there are people who say the missionaries helped my people to get their land or get their land back. Just to open up the controversy and the diversity of voices in the present about the mission. All right, and then in the next 3 panels, I try to be very scholarly and try to situate missionary history and history writing in the field internationally. And I started with these 3 words, salvation, benevolence, and knowledge, because scholars argue that this is what Christian missionaries had been trying to do since the early centuries of our current era. And this, of course, resulted in the building of schools for knowledge, churches for salvation, and hospitals and clinics for benevolence. But of course, this is not where the story ended. Then we would just have applauded the missionaries and gone home, because they needed land to do all these things. And that land had a history from before the missionaries came. So I think you will notice that throughout the exhibition, this question of land and the use of land, the understanding of land, and how the missionaries affected this is part of the exhibition. On this panel, we look at missionaries' curiosity about what they encountered and who they encountered. They came here with a lot of confidence that they have to come and save everyone in Africa from burning in the eternal fire of hell. But then when they started eventually to understand the language of the people they encountered, and they started to become curious, then Africans would tell them, well, we also know a few things. We also see the world in a certain way, and some missionaries were curious and started writing these things up. What interests me is how many first-generation African Christians then found ways of working in the new and the old world, and how they reconcile these views or decided they don't all need to be reconciled. Please spend a moment to have a look at this. It is a drawing made by a Berlin missionary, early 20th century, in which he tried to capture what Africans told him about the names they gave for the stars and the different constellations in their hemisphere. Right, the blue panel is the one about the colonial politics, and I hope that it also frames what happens in the rest of the exhibition. I asked the designer to try and visually represent the position of the missionary, because this is the person we want to understand. A missionary was sent out by a mission society in Germany. It was supported by ordinary German people who felt that it was part of their good faith to also spread the faith to other people. So when they read in the little missionary magazines about what was going on in India and in Africa and in Australia, they would on Sundays give their pennies. Some wealthy people gave lots of money, and that made it possible for the mission societies to pay the missionaries' salaries. Some societies, like the Hermannsburgers, of course, also expected missionaries to engage in agriculture, that they could produce part of their own income. So that applies then to the German side of being a German missionary in South Africa. But South Africa was never a German colony. By the way, I did not include Namibia very much in the exhibition, because that would be a very different story in many respects. But one has to keep in mind the colonial government also kept an eye on the German missionary, and the German missionary sometimes was seen as a friend of the Boers, sometimes as a friend of the British, but the moment a world war breaks out, Germans become enemy aliens. This was a moment in history, 1914 and again 1939, for many German South Africans to rather choose to become South African citizens, to prove that they felt a belonging to South Africa and that they were not standing with their mother country in the war events. But perhaps most importantly, missionaries lived amongst African societies, some of whom were interested in Christianity, some who were already Christians because of what they encountered during migrant labor, but many were not interested in Christianity, but regardless still had connections with the mission society. Some were tenants on missionary land, some went to missionary schools. So that diversity must also be kept in mind. Then, my husband calls this one the Smarty Box, because it looks like a Smarty Box. It's our attempt at a timeline. You can take your time with this. It's hopefully useful to orientate yourself, but there's a lot there. We try to color code it a bit. What may be interesting to you is the brown, where we indicate the moments at which missionary societies were involved, of course, with local people in translating the Bible into languages, as the languages were also
you have panels dedicated to key missions of the different mission societies. I'm not going to walk through all of them. I think you can do that at your own time. It starts with the Moravian mission in Genadendal, then the Rhenish mission, and we focus on Wuppertal, and then we move out of the Western Cape. If you go around the corner, you will see two panels dedicated to the work of the Berlin mission, and then there are two panels on the Harmansburg mission, and there is a spelling mistake which makes me very embarrassed to be very north. See if you can find it. We will correct it in the next publications of the booklet. And then lastly, the last three panels of the exhibition look at sources and what one can hope to find if one wants to dwell into the records that were left behind by mission societies. And that is the exhibition show. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Prof. Green, for that summary. And Dademane, maybe you can just come to the front and come here just to do the vote of thanks. Is Dademane still here?
Yeah.
Is here, Dademane can come. Dademane, please just come to the vote of thanks. And by the way, this exhibition will be here from today up until the 30th of June, so please make time to come and go through it. Dr. Mojuta, come with your students and let them come, let them read, let them come, let them come and engage and learn and make comments, agree or disagree with it. That's the whole idea of the exhibition. Yeah, let them come and over to you and thank you very much.
No, thanks, Program Director, and ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed an honor and privilege for me to deliver this vote of thanks on behalf of the Department of Arts, Sports and Culture in our province. Our MEC would have really loved to be here, but she's also engaged on legislature issues. The HOD is on leave, so I am doing this on behalf of the leadership of the department. Let me really send our appreciation to Professor Grill. Your input and your address has indeed not gone unnoticed. You have indicated that this archiving is more like an endless adventure. I noted the issue of the past being a foreign country where they do things differently, and we obviously need to ensure that the generations that come after us find this kind of history. Dr. Castleman from the Royal African Nation, thank you very much, our appreciation. I have taken quite a number of takeaways from your address, which I think will go a long way in enhancing how our attitude towards archiving is. Well, I didn't know that the Royal Africa are that far ahead. Now I know. And I'll have a reason to visit Royal Africa. It's actually a part of my world. I just interacted with the director, Ms. Mbe, and I was just saying, oh, I didn't know Royal Africa was doing this, and she was saying to me, oh, they are also quite big on oral history and so on. And I know that we have quite a lot of our traditional communities who cannot read or write, but who can tell many good stories which are needed for posterity. So thank you very much. Thank you to our military veterans who are here. I'm sure that this will help them as well, because our military veterans are actually also quite important in issue of archiving our history. The Killer Arts Group, I think I like you, but we must change the name. We will see how to deal with it. The program director, he says they are giving him goosebumps. But that's how, to us it's the way of life. That's our way of life, you see. And that's how we dress when we get home. And that's how we jump inside our houses. Yes, so it's our way of life. So you are allowed to become part of us. Yeah, I think that colleagues, I have tried to cover everybody. My colleagues who have put this together, I'm just not happy that I don't see traditional authorities here. I know that they were part in our last engagements, and somebody must make sure that before the 30th of June, at least they have been part of this. I know that the focus will be more on school students and so on, but the traditional authorities are quite very key in ensuring that our mission is accomplished. Melissa von Chubetan, I nearly forgot you. You are the future. So keep on doing the right things. I know you as a very young girl. Other things I don't want to say them. But they summarize the fact that you were not that beautiful when you were young. So as you grow up, you are becoming more and more beautiful, but you are also an inspiration to many that are coming behind you. Keep up the good job. Dr. Maite. Yeah. I have got a new name for you.
Yes.
It has got 3 letters. It's WOC. Wind of change. Yes. Thank you very much. And everybody, colleagues who are here, colleagues from National, you are all welcome. Enjoy the warmth of Mahike. You are not, you don't have to be in a hurry to go back home. There's a lot of land around. Thank you.
Thank you, Tademar. I just wish to acknowledge Mr. Lucas Tulan and Dr. David Kula. Colleagues, can you just come? These colleagues, they assisted so much in transporting the exhibition from Pretoria to here. And then they have another big responsibility to take it back. So I just wish to acknowledge the work that you've done, comrades and colleagues. Thank you so much. And maybe just a closing one for me. Invite people to come and see the exhibition. The schools are closing, let them come. Let the learners come, let the students come. Let government officials come, Kalanch. Right? Let them come. SABC is just here, let them come. Northwest University campus is here, let them come. Let them know about it. And Winds of Change. Winds of Change, Kikopani organize a register and then put it somewhere here so that when the exhibition goes back to Pretoria, to the university, we should get some indication of how many people actually came to visit. Colleagues, thank you very much. I think I've done my part. Oh, it's Lucero's birthday. Ah, come. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sanford. Happy birthday to you. How old are you now? 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 Hip hip. Hip hip. Hip hip. Okamuso, please come and close. Thank you very much, colleagues. The lunch is going to be here at 1 o'clock. So stick around, go to the exhibition. Okamuso, close. Thank you very much.
I just want to say thank you, people who organized this event, this initiative. As a student, as a writer, as an author, I'd like to thank everyone, especially the person who believes in me, which is Dr. Mujuta. Thank you, we appreciate you. We and Mr. appreciate you. And the archives are giving us platform, especially Dr. Mati. I see you, Mama. Thanks, we really appreciate you. You know, sometimes it's good to give back to the young people so that we can be motivated. And as a student in Northwest University, I just want to say, it's not for everyone. Like, to get the opportunities here is a big thing for me, it's a big flex. So I just want to not be only for me, but giving other people opportunities, especially as we are young. Archiving is something else, and I think also we must archive poetry and literature in all of these things. And go back to the schools, you know, whereby there's a lot of archives. We must go back to the schools where we come from. I think most of us will forget where we come from, but such as events, they take us where we come from as young people, as Africans. So people in power, we really appreciate you for giving us a performance. We see you guys, and we really appreciate you. And I think we can go far with these initiatives by giving young poets and young people who are writing like me. And yeah, I'm grateful. Thank you. Thank you.
Is the cultural group ready? Can they come to the last performance? Are they here? Are they ready? Are they ready?
Yeah, they are not here. No, that's fine. Take the opportunity, colleagues, to walk around the exhibition and have a lovely day. Thank you. God bless.
We just do it like this.
Killer.